Hey guys, welcome to season 3.5 of the Lindsay Morgan Snyder Podcast. I'm here with my beautiful friend.
Hi,
Georgie Antonori.
Yes, you said it right.
I had to ask her. I've known this girl for 4 years.
Well, my last name, not my first name.
Yeah, Gigi is her first name to me, but I had to ask her how to pronounce her last name because it's really beautiful and honestly a little difficult to.
Well, actually, my full name is Georgie Centeno Antonori, but that's a lot harder.
That is a lot harder,
yeah.
But I like it. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So, okay, tonight or today is ladies' night, okay? If you're a dude.
We should have had like wine.
I know. I have wine glasses. We could put our water in it.
We could.
You never know. We might be back. No, just kidding. But it is ladies' night, and you might need a glass of wine in order to do what we're going to do here in a little bit, because my friend is a professional model. As in gets paid real money to like look pretty. Like that's kind of legit, right? It's kind of a dream. And we're going to talk about the woes and the goes.
And the goes.
Of the dream of being a legit real model.
Yes. So how did I start? Is that what you're gonna ask me?
Yes, I'd like to know how you started.
Okay, so I grew up in LA. So I grew up around the entertainment industry just because I live here. Did a little teeny bit of modeling as not a child, like an older child. So like maybe I was like 11. And then did some as a young adult for friends. I had a lot of friends that were designers, but I was always too scared to get an agent. I don't know why. I think I just thought I wasn't good enough really on the inside.
That's real.
I think that's why I never did it. And so then I'm also a musician. I'm a singer. So I got signed to a record label straight out of high school, moved to England, was doing all of that. And then when that kind of fell apart, I found myself working retail in Santa Monica, where I grew up.
Where we are right now.
And I was working at Anthropologie. Ooh. And I think I'd only worked there for like a year or a year and a half. And I was really hating my life.
Yeah, I've worked retail too.
I hated it. Oh my God, it was crazy.
Except for the discounts on clothes, right?
The discounts on clothes are really great, but you do. So what happens when you start to work in retail and you're like good at it? Because I'm really, really good at clothes and like buying clothes. I love them. You also start to drink the Kool-Aid. So I did start dressing very Anthropologie, which is cool, but I was like very Anthropologie. So anyway, it's a lot. It's their flagship store. So it's like crazy in there during the summer. Anyway, I was hating my life. And I had this friend, her name's Clarice, and she would always say to me, she'd be like, why don't you try modeling? And I was like, oh no, I'm too old. I can't do it. I was 27 at the time, which in modeling years like I thought that was old. And it kind of was. I think a lot has changed since I started modeling. But anyway, I was too scared. I think somebody came into the dressing room one day and like scouted me. She was like, oh, are you a model? Do you want to be? I'm an agent at this place, at this agency. Come see me.
Wow.
So I forgot to tell you that.
Yeah.
So I told my friend Clarice about it, and she was like, you need to write to her. Of course you need to do this. I was like legit having nightmares about the fitting rooms at night. Like at night I would have these nightmares that like giant spiders were like coming out of the fitting room. And I was like, like that's how much I was hating my life.
Yeah, retail's not fun.
So I was sitting in the kitchen. We were living with my parents at the time as well. I'm married.
She's married. Isn't that so fun? There's not a lot of married people that I know here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably are more than I know, but I love it. And we'll talk a little bit about your sweet hubs.
Yes, we will.
He's a bunny.
He is. So sitting in the kitchen and my friends convincing me to write this email to this agent to be like, hey, I want to come in and meet you. But I was like really kind of non-committal and like didn't even want to press send. And so I had written this out. She told me what to say. She's like a brilliant business mind. And I'm like talking to my mom about it. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. And as I'm like talking to my mom about what a chicken shit I am, my friend just like presses send. And I was like, what did you just do? And she's like, you were never going to send that email. So I know. So I went in, I met the agent. Their agency wasn't for me. And I ended up signing with someone else that a different friend of mine who's an actress and a model is with. And when I met with him, I loved him like straight off the bat. And he was like, how old are you? You're 27. And I was like, oh God, he's going to tell me I'm too old. And he was like, that's perfect. He's like, that's perfect because I'm, you know, a lot of the younger models are like non-committal and like, I can't get them to show up for auditions. And you're like an adult. I know you're going to be at your auditions. And also, you know, I can send you out for the young mom and for like all these lifestyle kind of millennials. And he's like, those jobs pay a lot more. And it opened me up to this whole like commercial modeling world. I used to only think that modeling was like only high fashion, 5'10", very slender. And I'm 5'6", but my card says I'm 5'7".
But she is very slender.
I am slender.
She's super slender.
But I'm petite.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that.
That's how I got started.
It's so fun. So tell us the difference between like commercial model and like runway, just for people that like literally have no understanding. Because it took me time as I hear my friends talk about things. I'm kind of like, wait, what are they talking about? You know?
Yeah. So commercial modeling is everything you see on TV, but print form. So like billboards or like the Corona ads you see in a page spread in Vogue magazine, or even on like Chase Bank's website. Like there's the models that are like giving their credit card. Like those aren't real people. I mean, they're real people, but it's not like a real scenario. I always laugh now when I see, like, I can't see a commercial now or like see a picture in a magazine without thinking like what the audition breakdown was for it. I'm like, oh, they were looking for between 25 to 35, ethnically ambiguous. Like that's how I see the world now. But
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, so that's commercial modeling. And then runway, high fashion, editorial is what we would call it. Runway editorial is more, I feel like it's changing now. The demographic or the geography of modeling is changing a lot, but traditionally it's, women that are 5'8" and above, very slender, and have like really strong or interesting looks. So, and they're doing like, they're in Chanel ads in Vogue magazine or on a, Christian Dior billboard or something like that.
Okay,
but,
cool.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. That's really helpful. Like, it's a helpful breakdown. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it's changed a lot. Like, I feel you don't have to be tall anymore to be a model. When I was younger and I wanted to model, I remember actually I went to go see LA Models, and I think I was like, I don't know, I was a teenager. And
what's LA Models?
It's an agency.
It's an agency. Okay.
It's an agency. Actually, no, I think I was like 18 years old. I did try, and they rejected me, and I think that's why I was like, I can't do this.
Rejection.
They told me I was too short.
Wow.
So yeah.
But I didn't mean to interrupt your story. So you were going to LA Models, and then you said,
no, that was my story.
that was your story.
Yeah. So I was just saying that back in the day, you had to be tall to be a model. And now you don't. There's so many different types of people that I see all the time at auditions, and some are heavier set than me, some are smaller, some are shorter, some are very tall. It's very diverse now.
Why do you think?
I think a lot of people got in trouble. I think people got in trouble. And I think also, especially with social media, we have so much access to each other. I think people started to really realize like, hey, I'm not being represented. Like, I'm not seeing models that look like me, maybe a model that's curvy like me, or somebody who, doesn't look like what you think of when you think of somebody who's Latino, or when you think of somebody who's Black. Maybe they're fair and they have freckles and like a red fro. Like, people are like, hey, I look like that, and I'm, African American, or I'm Black, and I don't see myself. So it's very diverse now, it's a good thing.
No, it's so cool. Yeah, I love that. That's really, really fun. That's so cool. So tell us what an agent does. I just, again, like a lot of people that watch this, they're interested in entertainment, but they don't really know anything about it. I came out here to LA and I was like, wait, what? Like, I had no idea what y'all were doing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me.
I mean, I hope I'm going to represent them well and say what they do thoroughly. They do a lot. Like, they do a lot from my understanding. They do all the wheeling and dealing. So,
okay, nice.
A client, let's say it's Coca-Cola, will say, we want a woman who is between 25 and 35. We want her to be ethnically ambiguous and potential, which is me, because I look like I could be like various ethnicities. And maybe she's a young mom, and they'll send that out. And I think God, I wish my agent was here to be like, what do you do?
Bring her on.
They'll say, okay, these are all my girls that I have on my roster that fit that role.
Okay.
And then they'll submit all of us to that job, and I don't know if all of us do, but some of us will get called in for an audition to meet. And then usually there's like a rate involved. So they'll be like, Coca-Cola will be like, we're going to pay $1,500 for this. And if we use it for 2 years, to use your picture for 2 years. And then if we want to use it for another year, we'll renegotiate. So oftentimes agents will say, well, sometimes they will. Sometimes they'll be like, well, 1,500 is not enough. I want actually this much for my talent. But it just kind of depends.
Yeah.
So they do all the business side. They get you your jobs. And they deal with the clients. They have the relationship with the client, so that you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah, they're the middleman. And then they take a percentage of your...
And they take 20%. Yeah,
20%. Yeah. That makes sense. That's kind of...
And it's usually, I think, because I only have a print agent. So print is like 20, and then commercial, you'd have to ask Sonia. Some commercial agency, I could be wrong, take like 10%. So it's a little bit less.
So what's the difference between print and commercial?
So
all the
I know. So print,
that's interesting.
My print agents will generally only send me out for things that you see on paper or digital still images.
Okay.
Right? Sometimes they send me out for commercial though. They do also cross over. And then commercial agents are just going to send you out for video that you see on either TV or YouTube, commercials that you see on YouTube or even like wherever, because everything now is like everywhere.
Yeah, everything is everywhere.
There's commercials everywhere. I'm surprised there's not commercials here on Zoom.
Not yet.
Like, let's interrupt your meeting and watch this commercial.
Exactly. This is just free for now.
Exactly.
Someday we may charge you. No, I'm just kidding. It's fun. I love it. No, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool. Like I've always wondered, you're out here in the city and like everyone's doing these things and to them it's very normal, but like you're kind of an outsider coming in and you're like, wait, what? Like, tell me more. How does this work? It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And we have friends that do all kinds of different stuff, right? And a lot of them have been on this podcast. And
like Sonia and
Stephanie.
Nathan.
Laz. What'd you say?
Lawns.
Lawns. Did you guys see last week? Lawns. So funny. And then Kaylin.
Yes.
She does. Yeah.
Wow,
she does a lot of high fashion, the wedding dresses and stuff.
She does more editorial and like, she's like.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's very tall. Yes. Well, okay. Speaking of beautiful, like let's talk about beauty.
Okay.
I want to talk about beauty. Okay. So I don't know about you guys, but me being a little bit on the outside of this, like I often am like, well, they get paid to be beautiful. So obviously they always feel beautiful. Like that must be, right? Like they're beautiful. They get paid to be beautiful. They have beautiful pictures. So like, I would have thought they always feel beautiful, but I asked Miss Georgie before we got on here, like, is that true? And she's like, not exactly, Lynn. So can you just share with us more about, I know it's kind of just a general question, but just like, being a woman and like, just the normal feelings you have around beauty, even though that you literally get paid.
Yeah. So the question is, I guess, again, do I always feel beautiful?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, I would just say that I think I feel, I mean, everybody's human and I'm trying to think of like a specific example. Like I can look at a picture that somebody has taken of me and they're like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And think like, oh God, that's terrible. You know? And yeah, I mean, everybody has their insecurities. Like, I'm trying to think what mine are. Sometimes I feel like my nose is like too bony or big or, I don't know. I don't know how else to answer the question other than like, I definitely don't always feel beautiful. There's always like, there's a lot of times where I'll walk into an audition room or even like I was telling you, like Zoom. So now because of the pandemic, Zoom auditions are a thing. Like there's hardly any real live auditions. You're doing everything on Zoom, and they put you in like a Zoom waiting room, and you're like face to face with like all the other talent that's going after the same job that you're going for. So it's like so many great opportunities for you to compare yourself to other people and think like, oh gee, well, she's got really pretty hair, or she's got great eyes, or like, oh wow, she's, you know, and kind of compare yourself. So there's a lot of that. You kind of have to have a thick skin or grow one, or just grow some.
How do you think you've done that? I mean, how do you battle that like type kind of temptation to compare?
Yeah, I do a lot of texting with friends.
Aww.
I usually after an audition, the first person that I call is Leo. And I'll be like,
perhaps.
oh my God, like, oh, it was awful. It was terrible and hideous. Which I think is like every actor, like or model. Like I remember talking even with Sonia and Kanoa was like, oh God, Sonia is like, she'd be like, oh God, if that audition was terrible. Like, and Sonia was like, oh yeah, he's always like pulling me off the edge of the cliff. Like, sorry, Sonia.
I love that.
But
Sonia's our friend who, she's done a ton of modeling, but she does more like movies.
She does film
now.
a lot of film.
Yeah, she does a lot of film, and she's really like successful,
she
right?
Is, yeah.
I mean, she really is. So for her to still struggle with that is fascinating.
Yeah. So I don't think it's something that just goes away. Like, I think you overcome it, and you have moments of being confident. And I have tools, but I'm trying to think of which I can't think of. This isn't something that I go in like, you know what it is? Go on, you put your blinders on and you just do your job. Okay. Like that's a lot of it too. Just don't look. I used to have this teacher, and she was in like fifth or sixth grade. And she used to say to us when we were taking a test, you can look up and down for inspiration, but not side to side for information. And she was just like, stay in your lane, don't cheat, like just focus. So
focus is a good word.
Yeah.
I mean, focus is a good word. I feel like God's been talking to me a lot about that recently. Like, Linz, I need you to just focus, and it'll kind of like the distractions kind of like sometimes just go away on their own because you're so focused. You're like, I can't, if you focus on that, you're going to focus on that. If you focus on this, you're going to focus on this. So it's a good word.
Yeah. And I think also too, like you kind of, with modeling, for anybody that like wants to get into it, you have to find what you're good at and not try and be anything else. Like, you know, I've tried things where it's like more swimsuit oriented, and it's just not me. Like I'm perfectly comfortable in a teeny bikini on the beach with my friends, and I grew up like that because I grew up here in Santa Monica. I was always in a swimsuit, but in front of the camera, like it's just not who I am. And some girls, and I've been on jobs where like that's what they want me to be, and another girl usually ends up taking the spotlight because I'm not comfortable like this. So you have to just learn who you are and what you're comfortable doing and what you're good at, and not try and be anybody else. That's a big tip.
That's so good. That's so good. What have you found your lane is? I mean, I've always seen you in pretty dresses and stuff.
Yeah. For modeling, let's see. It's what's funny because it's not even, I wouldn't even really consider that my lane, pretty dresses. Like I would say tall and pretty dresses is like, when I think of that, I think of Kaylin and Lauren Gish, who's another friend of ours who's a model. But I've been modeling scrubs a lot.
Oh yeah, you do. That's right. That's cute.
Which sounds really basic, but actually the company that I work for, they are like the Apple of scrubs. They're called Figs, and they've been so great to me. And they just have like, they're like Lululemon, but for like the medical world.
Oh, cool.
So I've modeled with them a lot. I have done Reebok. I've done things like Wells Fargo or Bank of America. I've modeled for, I'm not allowed to say this, but it's a fruit.
Well, then don't say
it's a fruit that you eat.
Okay.
I've modeled for Banana. I've modeled for Samsung.
That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of things. Was that what you asked me? Did I go off topic?
No, I love that. No, I wanted to hear that because I think that's so fun. Okay. So if anyone sees her like at Wells Fargo, and you saw her here first.
Yeah, okay? you saw me here first. Yeah.
That's so fun. Yeah. No, I think that's super interesting.
Oh, I did a commercial with Cindy Crawford.
Oh yeah, y'all.
That was
We're
like
gonna
the
have to
dream
link
job.
that. We're gonna have to link that on
I'll
this
find it for
because
you.
it's so cute. Like I
Yeah.
was like, wait, is that my friend? Like,
Yeah.
so powerful. That was kind of one of the highlights, right?
That's definitely my highlight.
Tell us more. Tell us
so
more.
that is
We want to know.
That is more of like a fashion-y job, but it was a commercial, and I went in for the audition, and I remember I had to say like some really like cheesy like soap opera line, which it was supposed to be.
Sure.
And I was supposed to be like in a court, like as a lawyer, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but it was for a clothing brand called Reserved, which is kind of like H&M, but they don't sell here in the States. It's in Europe, but they're a big brand. Like my face was on Oxford Street in London for like months, which is crazy.
That's so cool because you used to live there.
I used to live there.
Wow.
But yeah, so I went in for the audition. I booked the job. I had to sign an NDA, non-disclosure, saying that somebody really famous was going to be on set, and I couldn't tell anybody. So I was like, who's going to be there?
So you didn't even know?
I didn't even know.
Wow.
And so I get there, and it's freaking Cindy Crawford, who is like, I love Cindy Crawford, and my husband loves her even more. Like, we have a running joke. Like, actually, he loves her so much, and we ended up like, it was years before I booked this job. We were at an event, and I was working this event as a model. I was like modeling some jewelry. So he came with me, he was invited, and the woman who was like the spokesperson for this event was Cindy Crawford. And our friend, her kids went to school with like our friend's kids. So she introduced us, and we got to take a picture. And it's so funny because in the picture, she's like, I'm standing with Leo, but she's totally like leaning into Leo, and he is just like cheesing it up. He's like so excited.
You're like, excuse me, I'm over here.
I know. I was like, hello. She's beautiful. Like, she's still got it. And it was such a great, you'll see the commercial if you link it.
Yeah,
so
we'll link it for sure. That'd be fun.
It was the moment that I had where I was like, oh, this is actually a skill, modeling. Like, it's not just like being in front of the camera, and like, it's like, there's a reason this woman gets paid the money that she gets paid. Like, she's so, I know it sounds so weird, but just watching her, I was like, oh, you're really good at this. Like, she's great. So that was so much fun.
What do you think makes it great? Like, cause we're gonna talk a little bit about the skill of modeling.
Yeah.
But tell me more about like her skill that was like so like impressive to you.
She was just in control of everything. Like, so her gig for that day, she was in this hot pink suit. And we were in this like fake neighborhood that's out in the valley where they film movies. And I was a girl in this lawn chair in like a bikini top and a tweed skirt on the phone, when all of a sudden Cindy Crawford comes down the street and she's voguing. Like, if you guys don't know what voguing is, it came out of the, like the drag queen kind of culture, where they have these big events where they vogue, they compete. Anyway, she's doing that. And she's coming down the street, and she's just in so much control of her body. Like, every line that she made was beautiful. And she's like just in such control, and she's so engaged with the camera, especially when it like comes tight to her. Like, she knows every angle that she looks good at. And it's just, it was so cool to watch. I was like, oh, you're a professional. That's why there's professionals.
You're like, this is next level.
Yeah. So it was inspiring for me, for sure, to watch that. And then just to kind of like circle back.
What's wrong with circle back?
It's like the catchphrase of like the day right now, because I guess our current president's press lady is always like, I'm gonna have to circle back.
Oh yeah.
To go back to what we were saying, I also do like beauty, so like beauty modeling. So it's like, you know, like skincare and stuff like that. But I was so inspired by her too. I think I started taking bar classes after seeing her, which is huge, especially even if you want to be an actor and especially modeling. Like, taking some type of like bar or movement or dance class will take you a long way, because you have such control over your body, and like you can see the difference. The modeling is a lot about lines and like the shapes that you make with your body and your face. So
she's taught me this, y'all, and we're gonna teach you. It was so fun. I'll never forget the first time. I think we were maybe on a sailboat, I don't know, but you're like, Linz, you need to make triangles.
We were on a sailboat.
We're on a sailboat.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so fancy. Yes, we're fancy. Just kidding. But like, you were like, you need to make triangles with your body. And I was like, triangles. So like that little tip stuck in my head. And I'm like, triangles, you know, I'm like, so just like some part of your body, I'm not going to teach it because I'm not the professional here, but like, it was so interesting. Like quote unquote, normal people don't know this, Georgie. We don't know this. So I'm excited for you to teach us a few tips.
Yeah.
Be fun. You guys want to do that? Like, I know you're not live, so you're like, yeah, Linz, we want to do that. And so this is also going to be like on the Apple podcast. So we might have to like talk it through.
Okay.
And not just show you the like, obviously my triangles aren't, as good as hers, but this is cool. I mean, I would have never known this.
Yeah. And it's just something that I think I think when watching her for sure, like there was still like a disconnect. I was like, she's doing something. I know this is why she's getting paid, but I don't know what she's doing. And then I started taking bar classes, and I remember I had a shoot in New Mexico somewhere in the middle of like 4 months after starting these classes. And I got the pictures back and I was like, oh my God, these are so different from anything I took prior.
Wow.
My body it looked so beautiful. Like I was just so like, it was so long and then like just the shapes were beautiful. And I even showed my bar instructor. I was like, look what you've done. Like,
wow.
So yeah.
So that's even like a little tip for any of us, right? Because there's bar classes all over the country now.
Yeah.
Like every small town, like everyone has bar classes. So if you want to even just like feel better about your body or yourself in pictures, like to take a bar class could be like a good little start.
I love it. It's my favorite exercise ever.
Wow, I never thought of that. I've done it. It's painful, but
it is really painful. It's just as painful as Pilates.
But I could see how that would make you very aware like of your body and stuff, and like even posture. Whoa, we used to have bad posture, but it's getting better. So that's good. No, that's cool. That's fun. So triangles. So talk to us a little about these triangles. Like, what do you mean?
So what do I mean? Do you mean like, you want me to show you, or like?
I know, I kind of want her to show us, but the people that are listening aren't going to be able to hear. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. So, okay, Miss Georgie was like, Linz, like, let's go take some pictures. And I was like, okay, I'm really awkward in front of the camera, but let's give it a shot. Because I did have someone like 9 months ago say, Linz, you're going to have to get more comfortable in front of the camera. And well, here we are on a little camera. So I'm like, okay, I was a little nervous, but I knew Georgie would be sweet to me. So we went out, y'all. All I know is models are like worth their like weight in gold, because it was so hard. Like I was just like, this is not just standing in front of the camera trying to like feel pretty.
And
like,
it's not comfortable. Like modeling's not comfortable.
It was so awkward. Like I was like, I feel so awkward. And a lot of the pictures were awkward, but
I didn't think so. I thought you did really great. I thought there were some great photos in there.
But it was pretty funny because I didn't know how hard it would be, like the tongue on the roof thing.
Oh, which isn't like it's not necessarily like a modeling tip, and not everybody has to do that. But like, I'm trying to see if you. Okay, I'm like,
we do have our Zoom filter on today. We're not going to lie.
But you can still see like body shape. So you see this here. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. But if you just want to look like tighter in photos,
She's talking about your neck.
Your neck.
For those that you're listening.
I don't know what this is. It's just like, it's maybe like a little swollen from my allergies. But
there we go.
What you want to do is you want to take your tongue and stick it on the top of your mouth, like behind your teeth. So you don't need to touch your teeth. I wish I could show you, but I can't.
Yeah.
Almost like you're gonna swallow. But you see, so what happens is it goes up, and it just gives you a little bit of like a sharper jawline, which this is so funny.
I know, it's so funny. Isn't it fun to know though? I think it's fun.
Yeah, I wish I could like an insert photo here. This is what I was doing in this photograph. Like
if Linz was a better editor, we could probably do that someday. So
that's something that I'll do sometimes, just to kind of give myself a really, I already have like a pretty sharp jaw. Not to be like,
it's okay to be kind to yourself, Georgie.
Yeah.
To see your skills.
Thank you.
No, that's so interesting. I know that one was so funny though. Cause so I'm like already trying all of her tactics, you know, like Lindsay, like stand like this and point your tongue. It was like so much, you had to work a lot in your brain.
Yeah.
I think that's where I was struggling. Cause I was like, I'm trying to feel pretty, which is the thing for me. And then like, yet I'm like having to remember all these different tactics. Yeah. And it was way harder than I thought.
I think I've had this conversation with Kaylin or Lauren before, where I think the biggest misconception is that modeling is super easy, which It is in the sense of like, you're not doing like brain surgery or rocket science or like anything like that. It's in the scheme of life, it's fairly easy, but it does take skill and it does take a lot of thinking. Like, so I just worked yesterday. I was shooting a spring summer campaign for this incredible dress designer. Her name's Damaris Bailey. But at the end of the day, I was so exhausted. I was like, don't talk, nobody talk to me. Just shh. Because you're focused the whole time. The camera's on you the entire time. So you have to be, I think that's what it is like, you have to be on for 8 hours straight.
Right.
Like everyone's watching you. So you can't turn off and be like, right. You know, you're on and you're like, you have to be so aware of your body. And is the dress wrinkling here? That's weird. Cause in the photo, it's going to look really weird and paunchy. So it's like, you're always like monitoring yourself for like 8 hours straight. So you do get tired.
No, honestly, I'm not even joking. When I came back from our little session, no, I was like the most tired.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like I was like passed out on my bed. I was like, yo, that was like really hard. Yeah. And I can't imagine the pressure of having like the camera dude and like the lighting people and the director people, like all the people there. Also, they're paying you big money. Like obviously no one was paying me money to be there with you. It was your time. And I knew that. But like, I mean, to have all that pressure included would be like next level.
Yeah. And that is a thing too. I didn't even think about that. It's not something I so much think about and a lot anymore because I've been doing it for a while now. But in the very beginning, like having everybody behind the camera looking at me, I was very self-conscious. And you're always like, what are they thinking about me? And
right.
It takes a lot. So definitely like you want to work on your skill. Wow. And then that kind of dissipates because you're like, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
You know,
like anything.
Yeah.
At first you're like, this is really awkward. And then you just get better.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about some more tips? So we just want to give tips on like how to feel pretty because we believe every woman should feel pretty and be able to feel pretty in a picture. Even if it's like, I know we have a little bit of a selfie culture going on, which hey, good or bad, it is what it is. But it'd be fun just for any tips. Like talk to us about the triangles.
Okay.
This is Lindsay's awkward triangle.
Do you mean like why we do triangles?
Yeah, tell us about why we do triangles.
So
what triangles
I'm not really sure why we do them. They look really great in photographs. So triangle would be because I'm sitting, but I'm trying to think of what I could do. So if you brought your arm up, you wouldn't just that automatically makes a triangle. So you wouldn't just go like this because that looks weird and it looks like I don't have the rest of my arm, which some people don't, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, what looks better is like if you bring your arm, you want to be long. That's the thing. You want to always feel like there's a string on the top of your head and you just want to be long, not stiff. So like this looks better than this. That's as much as I can show you from like sitting.
Right. And then the fingers, I remember you talking to me about
I actually got this from Coco Roca, who is this Coco Roca is a supermodel. She's currently a supermodel. She's probably closer to my age actually. She's incredible and she's like so out there. She actually has a modeling school. But I actually got this from her because I always felt like I don't know what to do with my hands. Like hands are so weird and they end up looking like clawy in photographs, which can really kill a picture. So she was like, you always want to have ballerina hands. And I was like, oh yeah, which bar helped because I'm like, now I know what ballerina hands are. And so instead of being like, instead of just being like this, you want to be like ballerina. It's it's light, it's delicate, it's long. It's like you're barely touching. It's a feather. Like, so instead of like this, it's like this. It's like this. You know, it's just like, it's just these long, if you're modeling like a ring or a watch, it's just like these long, delicate, floaty little hands. Like that's what it is.
I love it. It's so interesting. It's so good though. Like, but it's awkward to learn to do that.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, when you were telling me, you're like, I was like, wah, wah, you know.
Yeah, because otherwise it looks, I have so many pictures where I'm like, oh, my fingers, like, they're like, nah, you know?
You're like, oh no.
So yeah, I'm like, oh, I killed it. But
I totally remember that. I'm trying to remember what else you were teaching me. Do you remember other?
Well, one of the other things you want to do is you always kind of want to be moving. You don't want to stay in a position too long because it just looks stiff. So a lot of the pictures that you see that you like, there's always like subtle movement happening. So you're not like, you don't have to be like jumping around, but so if you're here, like we'll go back here because since I'm sitting down.
I really should have not, but I'm not going to be mean to myself.
No, don't be mean. So if you're like here, you know, maybe you're like you're just kind of like shifting. Okay, we'll lose the arm because I feel awkward showing you like sitting. So let's say you're just doing like your face, right? So instead of just like staying here, you want to be like here, 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 here. This is so funny. You know,
it is funny.
It's like subtle movements and something that's really easy, just like shifting your weight. So instead of just standing, which gets, you know, boring and will read really stiff after a while, you just shift your weight back and forth. So in the photo, there's like a little bit of movement, and it looks more natural and lifelike and more relaxed.
I like that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
You have to like get out of your head though.
You do.
I mean, for the average person who's not a model, like, which would be me, like, I mean, part of me is like, but I feel stupid, but who cares?
You definitely feel stupid. And especially in auditions, you feel really dumb. And I think what ends up happening is like, if you really want to do this, you automatically get over yourself really fast. You have to, because I mean, I remember one of my very first auditions was for like Secret, I think it was Secret deodorant. And they wanted me to pretend like I was climbing a cliff and that I had like just gotten to the top of this cliff, right? But the cliff in the audition room was a 2-foot stool. So I'm like, I know, it was so awkward. If I did that now, I would be like so good at it. I wouldn't be thinking about like this stool is only 2 feet tall.
Right.
But at the time I was like, I'm going to look so dumb climbing this 2-foot stool, you know? So the more you do it, you just get over it. Like I've called my husband so many times. I'm like, oh my God, they just made me do this stupidest thing, you know, but you get over it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And the audition, are people legit, like before pandemic days, like were they legit like you see in the movies, like sitting at a table, 3 of them, and you come in and have to like,
So that's usually only if you get a callback. So
okay.
what's, and it's not even every time, but usually if you get a callback, then everyone's in the room. Like the client flies in from wherever they came from, and it's like the producer, the client, the director are all sitting behind the camera, and then you have your man or woman who's operating the camera, and that's nerve-wracking. No matter how long you've been doing it, it gets a little nerve-wracking. But usually if you're just going in for the first audition, it's just you and the cameraman or camerawoman.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. That's better.
Yeah.
But still, wow, that's like a lot of pressure.
It's a lot. It's mostly hilarious.
Yeah. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. Probably,
you have to be able to laugh at yourself.
Oh, that's so fun. I love this. Wasn't this fun, guys? Yeah. Don't worry. We're going to have Georgie back and we're going to talk about real stuff because she has a real life and we want to hear all of her stuff. I don't know. Is the word stuff? There's probably a better
all my
word. Stories. All your stories.
Yeah, because I was telling you there's like so many different aspects to our life and my life. Married. Yeah. You know, Jesus. And then we're musicians. So that's like our whole other part of our life.
I know. I'm excited to talk about that. That'll be fun. Yeah. But I thought for season 3.5, we'd come on and just have a little girl talk about modeling, or if the dudes, like totally. I mean, you know, there's dude models.
Yeah, I know a lot of male models.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to ever have one on your show.
That'd be fun. What do you guys think? I think that'd be fun.
They're super sweet too. They're really funny.
I bet they are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else we talked about that we wanted to talk about?
We talked about feeling pretty. Talked about awkward auditions. Do you feel like I covered enough? Like, because I know we talked about like there might be people out there who don't know if they can follow their dream or feel like they're too old, or maybe it's inaccessible. And my story, I hope, has shown people that it's accessible and you can start at any age and any shape or color. Like so much has changed.
That's cool.
You don't have to look like anything. You just have to believe that you can, or have somebody who believes you can more than you do, who's going to send the email.
Oh gosh, I love that story. That's such a good friend.
Yeah.
I love that actually. Yeah. That's so sweet. I think that's so cute. She's like, ding, we're just going to go ahead and send this. That's so powerful. So like, I do know a couple friends who would like to get into modeling. So what would they do first? Like get pictures?
So that's a great question. So first you would want to get some really good pictures, and keep it really simple. Like they don't want to, like, don't wear this shirt. Wear what Lindsay's wearing, actually. Like, just, you could just get like Polaroids. They want to see what your body looks like. So even if you don't plan on doing lingerie or swimwear, they still want to see your body. So wear something form-fitting, or even like a cute like bralette and some briefs. And then also like a really great tip when you're looking for agencies, and you might not know the answer to this question, but they're going to ask you, so where do you see yourself? What do you want to do?
Interesting.
And I think by the time I met my current agent, I already knew, like, I'm probably not going to be the girl that's going out for like all these editorials and runway. And I'm not expecting you to send me out on that. Like, I already know that I'm probably going to fit a little more in like a lifestyle commercial vibe. So you could try and find people that look like you, or maybe have a similar personality to you, and kind of see what kind of jobs they're doing, or maybe they don't look like you, and maybe there's just somebody that is doing something that you find really fascinating. And when you go into agencies, you can say that, like, I kind of see myself like this, and that'll be really helpful. And then also that can like inform what kind of photographs you take.
You said Polaroid, so you don't need professional pictures? Is that what you?
Not necessarily.
Oh,
Sometimes
wow.
you just send in a Polaroid to an agency. Good lighting is a thing. Like, you always want to see how the
Talk
shadows.
to us about lighting.
See how the shadows on my face here. Like, you don't want that.
Oh yeah, mine's over here. Okay.
Like, it's kind of hard because our lighting's funny, but like that's a little better because the light's a little more even on both sides of my face. But
I didn't know.
But that's all stuff you learn, you know.
Now, what if your resume doesn't have any modeling stuff on it?
I didn't have anything on my resume. I mean, I had done stuff with friends.
Right.
But I didn't have anything on there. That's okay. I think as long as you have some great pictures to send in, so great Polaroids, or figure out how you kind of see yourself and get pictures like that.
Okay.
When your thoughts just leave your head.
Yeah. Happens all the time.
What did we say? You don't have anything in your resume.
Yes.
And then just go in, put your confident pants on and just go in confidently and be yourself. And they want to see your personality. Like that's
really?
Yeah. Model's personality.
Oh, why is that?
Because they need to like you. They need to like you. When I was working retail, my manager said to me, she's like, the reason I hired you is because I had to think about who I want to hang out with for 8 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
So they have to like you, and they want to know that when they send you out for a job, the client's going to like you.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I mean, I think that's interesting to me, because I would think like, oh, you're a model, so it's really more about what you look like than it is about your personality. But you're saying not necessarily. I mean, it is both. Right?
And I feel like a lot now, especially with social media, a lot is about personality. So it's like they want to know you. They want to know that you're a cool person. And I feel like that speaks volumes. Like, I know, for example, Figs, like, who has been such an amazing client to me, they like me.
Yeah.
Which I think is why I've had so much favor with them. It's because there's a million beautiful girls out there.
True.
But they like me. So
wow.
It's like,
that's so interesting. I didn't know that. So where would they begin looking for an agent to even send these pictures to?
Oh, well, there's agents all over the country. I mean, I don't want to say like there's worse or better, because I don't really know what it's like in smaller cities, but they tend to be in larger cities like Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami. And it's funny because like they all each kind of have their own niche, like which I'm learning too, like Miami, for example, heavy on the swimsuit, but it makes sense because it's Miami.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would just start looking, and you can just type in like Los Angeles agencies, or a great place to actually search is Instagram, because then you can see like who their models are, and then you can also go and like stalk their models in real life, which I do too.
Yeah.
You're like, what is this girl like?
Yeah.
And
that's so cool. Georgie, this is so sweet. I'm so excited. I think this is going to help a lot of people.
Oh, good.
I do. I think this is so fun. And don't worry, we're going to bring Georgie back in season 4 and talk more about Jesus and her precious marriage, and just, some stories she has and has gone through, and it'll be so good. But this was fun. I just wanted to have like a girls' day where we could talk about beauty and like what it's like actually in real life to be a model. And this was so fun. And just to encourage some of you girls that are like, or guys that are like, hey, I'd like to pursue that, and just like go for it. Right. The worst that can happen is God redirects you and you do something different, but at least you tried.
Yeah.
Right? At least you tried. So yay, Georgie. Thanks for coming on. It was so fun. This is my first in person, as you can see. So
I'm so glad I got to be the first.
You're my first, girl. You're my first. And we'll link that cool commercial down below.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be so fun. And if they want to follow you, Georgie, can they?
Oh, yeah.
Are you like public person?
I'm a public person.
She's a public person. And you can give them your music.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
So you can find me on Instagram at Georgie Antonori, which maybe you should write in the.
We'll definitely write that for you. I barely could pronounce it. We don't expect you to spell it.
It used to be I'm Georgie Porgy, like the phrase. And then
the opposite of what you are.
Well, no, but my dad used to always call me that. And then I took it away, and then some cafe took the name, and I could never get it back. But anyway, so it's I'm Georgie Antonori, or for all of our music stuff, you can follow at like Spanish TU, Music Official.
Yeah, and they do like such cool music videos. Like it's so fun.
Yeah.
So yes, more on that later. But thanks guys for joining us. This was super fun. Season 3.5. We're going to come into season 4 soon. I don't know if it's next week or the week after, but Jesus will tell us and we'll do what he says because he's really smart. So we love you guys. Bye. Bye.